bubble sort එක තේරෙනවද? Taruka. තේරෙනවද bubble sort එක?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you have no questions, we can move to the next sorting up. So I'm going to give an introduction to the next sorting algorithm, and then we can have a small break. Right, the next one, so let's go in order actually. Selection sort. Selection sort. The problem, the main problem with the bubble sort. Main problem with the bubble sort is actually there are too many swaps, right? So we compare two values and then we swap. Again, we compare two values. If necessary, we swap. Like 2 by 2, we compare 2 by 2, and if necessary, we do swapping. Right? Up to this. And then again, we compare 2 by 2. Then we do swapping if necessary. So the main thing that we can observe with bubble sort, right? In bubble sort, too many swaps. Right? You can swap කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ. I think now you can understand in swapping. So we have to do it in 3 steps. Swapping, we have to do it in 3 steps. So one swap means underneath there are 3 steps. So if number of swaps are too large, then like the number of steps that we have to follow would be a very, very large. Swap if we can reduce this number of swaps, we can make the bubble sort more efficient. Right? If you want to make bubble sort, if you want to make bubble sort more efficient, so we can reduce these swaps. Swap කරන ඒවා පුළුවන් තරම් අඩු කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් අපිට මේක efficient කරන්න පුළුවන්. At the beginning, when I explained the bubble sort, I told you bubble sort is the most inefficient, is the slowest one, slowest sorting algorithm. The reason is it has too many comparisons as well as too many swaps. Right? In bubble sort, we have too many comparisons. Comparisons and too many swaps. Like every two values, each two values, we have to do comparison. See, the values they are got to value they compare. This comparison takes time. Right? This comparison takes time, and this swapping takes time. More than comparison. Swapping is terrible. Swapping කරන එක කියන්නේ එතනම steps තුනක් තියෙනවා. Comparison කරද්දී එක step එක. මේකට මේක වැඩිද කියලා බලන්න. එකක් හරි අපි දෙකක් කියලා කියමු. දැන් මේ මෙතන steps තුනක් at least. Right. But we have to compare every two, each two values. We have to compare a lot. Swapping, we don't have to do swapping all the time. If this is not true, we don't have to do swapping. If items are in order, we don't have to do swapping. But comparison, we have to do all the time, right? So comparisons are one problem, and the swapping, too many swaps, so that's another problem. Right? Too many swaps, too many comparisons, right? First, we are going to deal with this, too much swaps. If we can reduce that, we can save a lot of time, right? In selection sort, we are going to do that. In selection, sort, we are going to deal with this. We are going to reduce the number of swaps. The selection sort improves on the bubble sort by reducing the number of swaps. Selection sort improves on the bubble sort by reducing the number of swaps. Unfortunately, the number of comparisons remains the same. The comparisons, we cannot ignore them. We have to do that. But swaps, අපිට පොඩක් swaps වලින් පොඩි අඩුවීමක් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. Let's see how it is achieved, right? However, the selection sort can still offer significant improvement for large records that must be physically moved around in memory, right? If we can reduce the number of swaps, it is a big improvement actually. So it is a significant improvement compared to the bubbles. Right? So in this case, so I will explain the, so this is selection. In selection sort, we are going to move the minimum values to the left. In bubble sort, we did the opposite. We try to move the largest value into the right? But in this case, we are going to move the minimum value to the left. In bubble sort, one thing we didn't do is we didn't try to find the maximum value, max value. We didn't try to find the maximum value by checking the values. Checking all the values, we didn't try to find the maximum value. අපි maximum value එක හොයන්න try කරේ නෑ. අපි හැම වෙලාවෙම maximum value එක එහා පැත්තට අරන් ගියේ values දෙක compare. We just compared two values and we try to move the maximum value to the right. We didn't try to find the max. Right? Max කියන value එක අපි මේ array එක හරහා ගිහිල්ලා හොයන්න try කරේ නෑ. We didn't try to do that. But in this case, in order to find the minimum value, we are going to go through the array. It is just a simple, very simple way of finding a minimum value. If I asked you to find the minimum value of this array, how do you do that? Can anyone tell me if I ask you to find the minimum value? Diniti. So if I asked you to find the minimum value of the array, how do you do that? Minimum value එක හොයන්න කියලා කිව්වොත් array එකේ කොහොමද හොයන්නේ? Diniti Malmida.
සර් සිංහලෙන් කියනද?
ඔව් කියන්න. කවන්න.
එකකින් එක අරගෙන මේ if එකක් දාලා ලොකු එක අරගෙන මෙහෙම චෙක් කරගෙන යනවා for එකෙන්.
ඔව් ඒ විදිය තමයි කරන්නේ generally. එතකොට minimum value එක හොයන්න ඕනේ. So we have to find the minimum value, right? So then what we do is basically yeah, so there's another suggestion, right? So Diniti, so yeah, I get your idea, right? Diniti කිව්ව විදිහ දැන් එහෙම තමයි කරන්නේ. මම ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් දැන් explain කරන්නම් කොයි විදිහටද අපි කරන්නේ කියලා. So there's another suggestion by Keela, right? We need to sort the array and print the 0th index value. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. But we are trying to sort the array. Sort කරන්න තමයි අපි මේ try කරන්නේ. We are going to sort the array, right? So in order to sort the array, so this is going to be one step of sorting. Sorting so we are going to improve the sorting algorithm, previous sorting algorithm, right? So in that case, sorting array and then find the minimum is not, it's out of discussion. We cannot do that. Akila. Yes. Very nice starting point, Kavinda. So minimum, so we can use a variable. So minimum is assigned with array 0 index. Right? Minimum kila variable එකක් ගන්න. ඒ variable එකට දාගන්නවා array එකේ පළවෙනි value. So that's the starting point. Right? For example, we have 93. Likewise, so we have values like this. So the first value 93 is put as the minimum. Then we compare the minimum value. Actually, so there are two ways. So we can use, we can assign minimum as the value, or we can put the minimum index. Minimum එක කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ කියලා අපිට තියාගන්න. Minimum index is 0 at the beginning. Right? We can put this. And then we can compare array index, right? Starting with the second value, array index 1, we can check whether it is greater than array min. Min කියන index එකේ තියෙන value එකට වඩා මේ array එකේ තියෙන value එක මේ පොඩිද කියලා බලන්න. In this case, it is not 1, it is not, right? Still the minimum is the 0. Sorry, in this case, yeah. So this one is smaller. 72 is smaller than 93. So in that case, we change the minimum. We change the minimum to this index. Now minimum value is in index 1. Can minimum එක තියෙන්නේ කොතනද කියන එක තමයි අපි මෙතන තියාගන්නේ. We are keeping where the minimum value is. Yes, Kavinder. So you have given the program for the finding the minimum value, right? Then we have to compare the second index 2 and we check the minimum value. So the minimum value, the index එක මේක value එක මම මෙතන ලියන්න. අපිට නිකන් තෝරගන්න ලේසි. අපි හැබැයි තියාගන්න මේක ඉන්ඩෙක්ස් එක තියාගත්තාම මේකෙන් අපිට value එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. array min කියලා කිව්වම ඒ value එකෙන්. එතන මෙතන දැන් 72 තියෙනවා. So we have 72 here now. So then the index 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, likewise. Index 2 is compared with this one. Yeah, again, index 2 value is 3, right? It is smaller, right? So then we have to put that as the minimum. That means the value is now 3. The value is 3. Now we check with the next one. Right? Index 3. Index 3 value is 35. So 35 is not less than 3. Right? Move on. So likewise, we move one at a time. So when you write the program, so you have to write for loop. Int I starts with 0, I, then length, right? Then I plus plus. Instead of length here, we can use n elms in our program, right? N elms. Here, if array I is greater than array main. We can start this with 1. Then main would be I. I is assigned with me. So this is the program for just to find the minimum. Right? So here, what we do is in this case, we are going to find the minimum value. දිගටම බලනවා minimum එක මොකක්ද කියලා. එකල minimum එකයි පළවෙනි එකයි උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ගත්තොත් මේකේ නම් minimum එක මෙන්න මේකනේ. අන්තිම minimum කියන එක මෙතනට values දෙකක් දාගමු. In this case, the minimum value would be this one. Then, after finding the minimum, we swap the first value and the minimum. The minimum value comes here. See, like what we have done is, instead of swapping each 2 items, we are just finding the minimum value and we swap once, right? So without swapping for in the each step, we just swap for once. කියන අගටම ගිහිල්ලා minimum එක හොයලා ඒකත් එක්ක swap කරනවා. එකපාරට swap කරනවා. Just once. So that's how we are going to reduce the swaps. That's how we are going to achieve this. So after this swapping, now, so that means 1 goes here and 93 comes here, 1 goes here. Now, we don't have to worry about the first item. We can forget about this one. We can start from this one. In this case, again, we are going to find the minimum. Then the second minimum would be this one. This one would be chosen. It will go up to this corner, but still the minimum would be this one. Then swap these two. So 72 goes here, 2 comes here. Right. So now the first two are in order. Now the third, right? We are going to find the minimum, which has to be here, right? So the minimum would be, the first minimum would be this value, and then we check any other minimum value. There's no any other minimum value. So that means this is the minimum. Right. So then we don't have to swap. Right? We don't have to swap there. We can just go to next one. So now the next item, next minimum. Right. The first minimum would be this one, 35, and then 10 is less than that, so the minimum would be 10. Any other minimum value? No. Right, so this would be the minimum. Then these two would be swapped. Right. Now these are sorted. This one is the next one. We're going to find the minimum. So the first minimum would be 35, smaller value. Yes, here it would be the minimum, 29, and then 30. It would be the minimum. So this would be the minimum. So then we do swap. Minimum එක හොයාගෙන ඒකත් එක්ක swap කරනවා. කියලා ලෙවල් 10, 30. So is it clear what we are going to do here? array එක දිගේ ගිහිල්ලා minimum එක හොයාගත්තා. minimum එකත් එක්ක පළවෙනි එක swap කරා. දැන් පළවෙනි එක අයින් කරා ඊළඟට දෙවෙනි එක ඉඳන් පටන් ගත්තා. ආපහු array එක දිගේ ගිහිල්ලා minimum එක හොයාගත්තා. දැනට තියෙන minimum එක array එකේ ඉතිරි ටිකේ දෙකේ ඉඳන් තියෙන minimum. This is what we do in selections. Right? So again, if we apply this to that our queue, the players, right? In that case, we don't compare just two players. We try to find the small, the shortest guy in the queue. Like so, we go through the coach is moving, right? And then he tries to remember the minimum or the smallest guy's position. And then finally he finds the smallest guy and then swap. Right? So in this case, swap with the person. Then the second case, no swapping, because he is the second smallest. Likewise, third one, minimum with swapping. Fourth one, this is the minimum and swapping. Likewise, we do that. Any questions? Any questions before explaining this algorithm? මොනවද ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද අහන්න? Right, so this is what we are going to do. Select the first item of the array, step through the array starting from the second item. Starting from the second item, we go through the array to find the minimum item. That's the minimum item finding part. Right? If minimum is smaller than the first item, if minimum is much smaller than the first item, then swap minimum item with the first item. Right? So there's a slight change if you notice, right? We start with the first item and then we try to find minimum item from the second item. මුළු මේකේම තියෙන minimum එක නෙවෙයි හොයන්නේ, දෙවෙනි එකේ ඉඳලා තියෙන minimum. In most of the cases, it would be the minimum of the array. So when I was explaining, if I said like we try to find the minimum and then do the swapping, no, actually we try to find the minimum from the second item. The ඊළඟ case එකේදී අපි මේ minimum එක එතනින් එහාට පළවෙනි එක ඇර අපි සලකන පළවෙනි එක ඇර එතනින් එහා minimum. If minimum is smaller than the first item, swap minimum item with the first item. Otherwise, minimum is already at the first index, so do nothing. First item is sorted now. Then select the second item of the array. Repeat the whole process in the previous steps when the first item was selected. කලින් කරපු ටිකම කරනවා second item. Likewise, select all the items until the end is reached. Stop the selection at one before the last index. Then in each selection, swap the minimum and selected item. Swap the minimum and selected item. So these steps are given and then the program is there. Right? So I'm going to give you a break and then we can discuss, we can explain. So I will explain these steps with this example and then we can talk about the program. Okay. So let's have a break, like 20 minutes. 20 minutes break. So if you have questions, you can ask now. So otherwise, we can go for a 20 minutes break. And you can have a tea, or if you haven't had your breakfast, you can have that now. Then we can join the session in 20 minutes. So that means like 10:45. Right, so we'll be back. I'll start at 10:45. So if you have any questions, okay. Right.